So you get to school ready to start a new year, ready to start a new day, whatever the case may be. You are ready to take it on, and we are going to be the best student that we can be this year or this day until you get into the classroom and you honestly feel like you're the only one there. You're distracted, you're not engaged. The teacher's talking, or you're working on silent reading, or independent work, or even group work. But instead of being engaged with the material and learning, simply sitting there staring at the clock, watching it go tick, tick, tick. And then you get to the test, right? The teacher hands out the test, and you're kind of nervous about it, and you start reading the first question, and it's just question marks coming through your head. And you start thinking to yourself, did we even learn this? And then it's a bad grade. Maybe the problem isn't the information. Maybe the problem is your engagement and the fact that we are not taking notes very well. In today's world, everything is on the computer, especially with virtual learning. You have your graphs on the computer for math class. You have your problems, your equations, everything that you need from math to history is found on the computer. Right? It has to be. It's just the climate that we're living in. But games are also found on the computer. Social media like Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all can be accessed through the computer. So that leads to distractions. Maybe it's time to ditch the computer and start taking handwritten notes. So why should you be taking notes on paper? Well, because the science supports it. Our brains are interesting organisms. It'll take you 7 times to hear or see something before you can fully retain it. Now, if you just listen to something, you will retain about 10% of that information. Now, the science also says that if you write something down, paper and pencil, you will retain that information 70% more likely to remember it if you review your notes within 24 hours. So you're probably sitting there and saying, well, that's great. I'm not going to be in school forever, so why do I need to take notes? You will use notes every day, or a lot, until the day you die. No, really, you'll use notes all the time. As long as you're in school, you have the potential to use notes, whether that's college or trade school or wherever you decide to go. If you get a job, most of the time you have meetings, and you're going to want to take notes. When you go to buy a house, they're going to give you a lot of information. You need to take notes. When you have kids and they come home and tell you all the things that they need to do for baseball or ballet, you're going to want to write that stuff down. So, how do I even take notes? Well, in this video, we're going to break down 3 ways that you can be successful by taking notes. Number 1 is going to be Cornell Notes. Number 2, ABC Notes. Number 3, Sketch Notes. The first way to take notes that we're going to talk about is called Cornell Notes. Now, Cornell Notes were invented by an education professor named Walter Pauck from Cornell University, and that's how they got their name, Cornell Notes. So the basic premise behind Cornell Notes is you're going to take your notebook paper or your sheet of paper, you're going to divide it into 3 sections. They're not equal sections because you want more room for your notes and then just a little bit of space for our keywords in our summary. So we're going to divide our paper into 3 sections, and then we're going to label our note page. So we'll have keywords on the left hand side, notes in the middle, and then down at the very bottom is going to be a summary. Taking a deeper dive into Cornell Notes, we again need to divide our paper into 3 sections. Some people like to use that margin on the notebook paper as their keyword section. You're free to do that if you'd like. But with our 3 sections, we're going to start in the notes section. In the notes section, you should be writing about what the teacher's saying, what you're reading, or notes about the task that you are completing. But remember, we don't need to write every word. In the keywords section, you should be writing what the topic is. So if you're learning about addition, write an addition. Along with, you should put any questions that you have in that keyword section. The summary section is going to be used for you to summarize what you learned that day. Now, this is a great way for you to know exactly what to tell your mom when she asks, "What'd you learn in school today, sweetheart?" Because you know they will. The second thing we need to talk about is ABC notes. Now, this is more of a strategy based deal instead of a actual way to take notes, but it'll help you with your Cornell notes if you so choose to use it. So, A stands for abbreviations. What's crazy to think about is, in a world of digital technology, we use abbreviations all day, every day. Things like LOL for laugh out loud and BRB for be right back. And the list goes on and on and on about the shorthand that we use in our daily life on our cell phone. But it doesn't translate to the classroom. When we get into the classroom, we don't use our abbreviations. Instead of writing out Texas, why not use TX? Or instead of writing out without, why not just put W/O? The list goes on and on. The B in ABC notes stands for bullet points. You should be using bullet points instead of trying to write a long paragraph. The C in ABC notes stands for caveman language. We don't need to write complete sentences. As long as you get the gist of what you're trying to put out there, those are your notes. As long as you can read them, good for you. Caveman language would be like this. Got idea. Write better. Make sentences. Take notes better. I didn't use sentences, but I still got the information across. So, you might be one of those students that you sit there and take notes with Cornell Notes, use the ABC strategy, but when you get to the test, you still get a bad grade. And that's not your fault. It's just your brain development. Some of us, our brains don't recognize words. Instead, we are more picture-based learners. So why not take notes with a picture? Let's say, for instance, you're in geography class, and today you're learning about Texas. You're learning about the Texas economy, everything to do about Texas. So you may start with drawing a map, putting a star on Texas, and then maybe drawing a Texas flag. Once you have that Texas flag done, your teacher starts talking to you about the economy of Texas. So you draw some lines. Your teacher tells you agriculture is a huge industry in Texas, along with farming and ranching, horses and cattle. So you draw a horse and a cowboy hat. That way you can remember. But your teacher also tells you that they have a huge technology base in Texas with companies like Dell and NASA and Space Center Houston. But you can't forget about the oil industry either and the shipping industry. So you draw all that stuff. There is no need for you to use words if you can get the same information in a picture. But be careful. Don't get caught spending too much time on your picture. So I took awesome notes. Now what? Now what do I do with them? Well, it's time to get your highlighter out, put your reading glasses on, and review your notes. As we said earlier, your brain is 70% more likely to remember information if your notes are reviewed within 24 hours. Within 24 hours means maybe at night before you go to bed, or maybe in the morning before you go to school. Review your notes and get the knowledge set into your brain. So now it's time for you to try taking notes. It's not going to work unless you try. So when you get into class, put down that cell phone, put down that computer, get out a piece of paper, and take notes. If you do that, you'll be well on your way to getting better grades and doing better in your classes. Wish you nothing but the best. Good luck taking notes. Drop a comment. Tell me which one you like to use the best. Which note strategy works for you. Can't wait to hear from you. Y'all be good. See you in the next one.